Hi everyone, this is Chris Waterman, the Denver Mortgage Guy.
And this is Paula Waterman with Waterman Team Realty.
Today we're going to talk about the local real estate market in the Denver metro area. And as of right now, it's the end of August 2022. We're getting ready to start September just in a few days.
Yeah, but before we get into that, I want to ask you to like, follow, share, and comment on this video, especially if you're on YouTube. If you'd subscribe, hit that subscribe button. That really helps us get more viewers, and it gets kind of our message out. You know, we're local real estate professionals, and we want to help people in our area. So subscribe to that video if you get a chance, that feed.
That would be great. Well, Paula, tell us more about what's going on in the local real estate market right now at the end of August, early September of 2022.
Yeah, right now we're seeing the market pretty balanced, if not leaning slightly into being a buyer's market. You know, we've been experiencing this crazy seller's market for several years now in the Denver metro area. In fact, this last year, it was the worst in some ways that I've ever seen. You know, we would have multiple offers. You couldn't come to the table unless you had over asking.
Well, and it really hurt a lot of buyers.
Yeah.
First-time home buyers didn't have the cash to compete.
Yeah.
Right? When houses are going minimum of $10,000, we saw $100,000 over on a property. And if you're a first-time home buyer, you don't have that kind of money. So a lot of first-time home buyers have kind of backed out of the market during that time, didn't they?
Well, they got buyer's fatigue, right? So what happens? We have people come in with cash, and they'd offer a cash deal, and you know that seemed really attractive to a seller. And we'd see houses be under contract in like 1 or 2 days, right? Because it was such a tight inventory.
And multiple offers, a lot of those houses then, right?
But now we're not seeing that. Now we're seeing an active days on the market, 14 days, 21 days, 30 days. I mean, it is crazy. And the thing that's really hard is it's hard to educate people, because especially sellers, because they're expecting not only is their house going to get top dollar, it's going to sell in one day, or they're going to have multiple offers. And it's been kind of a challenge because we've had to re-educate our sellers to have the right expectations of this market, because really selling something in 3 days is that's not normal. It used to be it would take 14 days, a month to sell a property. Well, that's normal.
I remember after the real estate crash, it was a buyer's market. A lot of investors were buying houses, tons of foreclosures like in 08, 09, 2010, all the way through 2012. It was a buyer's market. Buyer come in and go, this is what I'm going to offer. And a lot of these people were upside down. Maybe they owed $400,000 on the house worth $300,000.
We're not going to see that again. We're not going to see what we saw in 2007, 2008.
That's right. We're not.
Because we're not in that kind of real estate bubble anymore. But what we've experienced the last couple of years is not normal, and now we're getting more to a normal market.
Thank goodness, finally.
Yeah, so I don't think anyone should be, you know, afraid of what we're in, or think that we're in some kind of bubble in this market. We're simply calming down. We're getting to be more of a balanced market. I was talking to a girlfriend today who sells real estate out in Elizabeth, and she said, you know, I think it was July or even June, whatever the purchase price that a realtor would list the house for, they would get 100% of that purchase price.
Gotcha.
That list price, right?
Wow.
Now in August, they're getting 90% of their list price. So if they listed it for $100,000, I mean, there's no house for $100,000, but if they listed it for $100,000, they're going to end up getting $90,000. And so you you need to adjust.
Holy smokes.
You got to adjust your expectations for this market. But if you're a buyer, that's good news, right? Because now as a buyer, you don't have to be so pressured to buy, you know, whatever you find. It's that fear of missing out, right? You don't have to be pressured with that fear of missing out. And you can take your time. You can buy what you like. You can negotiate with the seller. You can ask for concessions. Like for closing costs, you can do a 2-1 buy down for the rate. We'll talk more about that later. We want to talk about ARMs and some different alternative financing. But it's a really good time actually to be in the market. Prices have settled down. They've come down a little bit. Like I said, you don't have to have all that. You don't have to have appraisal gap protection like we used to have before. It used to be that you would go in and say, hey, we'll take the house in any condition it comes in. Roof's bad, we'll take it. Well, now you don't have to say that. Now you can be like, listen, I want you to repair the roof. Or, hey, I want a new you know, furnace if it's old or something like that. So it's a really good time to be a buyer. And realistically, interest rates are not that high. I know we're all in interest rate shock because we've been spoiled in these 3% rates. That's not normal. That's lower than usual. 5, 6, 7%. That's kind of average interest rates for the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, it really is. I remember rates. I remember when rates got down to like 6.5%. I don't know, this is maybe 2002, 2003, and we were just cheering.
Yeah.
And then people who had a little bit, you know, tougher credit, 8.5%, 9%, 10%. I remember one time I did a loan, it was 14.9%. So we start looking at, you know, into the fives or even the low sixes. It's in the short term, yeah, but in the overall scheme of things, it's really not that bad.
It's not. And I mean, we heard recently that we might see some interest rate improvement towards the end of the year.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly,
yeah.
We don't know.
My crystal ball is broken, so whenever I try to guess what people go, Chris, where rate's going to go? I go, man, I study this stuff. I listen to the smartest people, and you know what? The government can make some announcement or something doesn't look right as far as the government goes, and they can manipulate the market. I hate to say it. We've seen it with the stock market and in the mortgage market. It's driven by the bond market. It's very much the same. So government pressure either way can really affect the market.
And stuff happening in our world, right?
Yeah.
I will say this though about buying versus renting. You know, a lot of people are like, well, I just want to rent. I'm gonna sit back and see what the market does, what the economy is. I just want you to know there's hardly any rentals out there either. And rentals are through the roof.
Rental prices have gone up a lot because they know, especially the first-time home buyers we were talking about, weren't able to find a house, didn't have the cash, and now they're renting. But the rent is
and
skyrocketed.
Here's the thing. It's, you know, the equity growth of real estate is still positive. It's not like you're losing money if you invest into real estate. Still one of the best investments you can make. It typically returns at least as good or better than the stock market, right? Yeah. And if you're going to pay money to live in Denver, you should probably buy, because you're going to see some equity growth where you're not going to see that when you rent.
I actually I'll try to make this a quick example, but I know somebody that had been renting for several years, and they owned a house, you know, many, many years ago, 15, 20 years ago, and they were renting, and the rent was low at the time. I said, why don't you buy a house? No, man, rent's lower, and rent was about $400 lower than if you bought a house. Well, guess what? If you would have bought a house, he would have made probably $200,000 to $250,000 in equity growth alone. So saving $4,800 a year in payment over a 4 or 5 year.
Cost him a lot of money.
Yeah, he paid $15,000 less in payments over that time period, but lost over $200,000 in equity.
Yeah, you can really lose money if you stay on the sidelines and don't jump in. So don't let this real estate market scare you. There's nothing. We're not headed for a crash. It's not a bubble. It's simply just balancing out. It's been out of balance for a couple of years, and now it's balancing out.
Can I speak real quick, because we're speaking kind of frankly here and just trying to be as transparent as possible. I know, and we'll do a longer video on real estate bubbles, but I lived through the last real estate bubble that did happen, and it wasn't really a real estate bubble. It was a mortgage bubble. It was the adjustable rate mortgages and people getting home loans at 100% with not good credit, with bad credit. I mean, I saw people, they were one day out of bankruptcy and they were able to get 100% financing, so basically just about zero down payment, and be able to buy a house for 100%. One day out of bankruptcy, they had a 580 credit score. So a lot of these 100% financing deals with lower credit scores really caused people to walk away from home. They go, listen, I got no skin in the game.
They had no skin in the game.
And now that stuff's gone. It's stricter to get a home loan right now. So we're not going to have a bunch of mortgages blow up on us. There's not toxic mortgages. So there may be a little bit of a correction, but nothing like what happened in 2007, 2008.
But you know what? We're real estate and mortgage professionals. We're local. We know the market. We've been doing this a long time. We would love to help you. Our information is on this page. Just give us a call. We'll get a coffee and we'll talk about your options.
We'd love to talk to you guys. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.